HooHooHooRobin.
There he is.
Take a
Ray
seat.
Boom Boom Mancini in studio.
Like not long ago, like a year ago or two?
No.
Was that never on the show?
No, never on the show.
No,
know,
man,
right?
we would remember Ray Boom Boom Mancini.
No, we've never had him.
Sir.
How are you, sir?
Good, very good, thank you.
You look like you could still fight.
Oh, I'd give you 4 good ones.
I see that.
4 good
I'd give you
ones.
4. I'd
Why?
give you 4 rounder, but after that, no shot.
Yeah.
What did you do? The first thing to go is at the cardio?
No. Oh, well, I'm on. I didn't realize.
We do that all the time.
No, this isn't so much the cardio as I think it's the desire.
Oh, really?
Once
Yeah.
you lose the desire, you go. It's like people said, how did you know it was time to retire? I said, well, here's the difference. When I was fighting, the reporters used to say, boom, boom, you hear, you're getting up, you're in the morning when it's blizzard, snow, pouring rain, torrential rains, you're out there doing road work. And I said, yeah. And they said, why? I said, because I know the other guy ain't. And if he is, he better be. Here's when you know it's time to retire. I'd get up praying for rain. It's raining! Jump back in bed.
Good. You don't have to.
You're looking for the excuse.
Is the desire like 90% of it? I mean,
Absolutely. It's a mindset. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You hear it all the time, but truly is. Look, I got talent. You got talent. You can fight. It's about who's, got that certain, it's a mindset that you could take it to a different level. And, but for me, especially my style of fighting was not made for a long career. I had to be in top shape. I'm going to keep coming, taking punches to give punches.
Yeah.
That's a certain mindset you have to have. If you don't have the desire, determination, or willing to pay the dues to go through that, then that's what I said. Then you got to shut it down.
Yeah.
And that's what I said when I lost the love for the game, and I lost love for the game actually before I retired, because since after that fight, I lost love for the game. But, I had the title, a chance to, hold on to get my security. I've been fighting for a couple of years, and I fought still as hard as I could, and I still beating guys, knocking guys out, and things like that. But, after the second fight with Bramble, I just had no love for it no more. And I knew going into that fight, that was going to be my last fight. And, time to shut it down, man. I mean, the one thing I'm most proud of, I only fought 5.5 years as a pro. Not a long fight. I had 34 fights. 34 fights in 5.5 years. There's a lot of fights. But the one thing I'm most proud of is I can still spell fight.
Yeah.
And I say to half jokingly because so many guys can't.
so many guys, right?
You only fought for 5.5 years.
That's it. Yeah,
That's incredible to me.
85.
Wow.
And how old were you when you
I was
retired?
24.
24.
You were 24 when you retired?
When you retired from boxing.
Yeah.
You knew at 24?
Now, you would think that's at the top of your game.
But again, I was, I always said I never became the fighter I wanted to become until the end of my career. But I had already lost the love for the game. I had already lost the love.
At that early, though,
Yeah.
you would think that might happen.
Wait, you couldn't sit around for a year and find the love again?
Right.
For those paydays?
Plus, well, it's the difference. My style. I said if I had a style that's, a boxer, I wasn't gonna get
right.
But my style was, like I said, a fan-friendly style. You come forward,
Get in there and swing.
and,
duke it out.
It's going to be, you're going to make a score for, a couple of years. You're going to, well, people expect a certain, people expect a certain style. When they knew I was fighting, they knew what I was going to give them. And once you ain't willing to give them that no more, you're cheating the fans as well as yourself.
Yeah.
Hey, Ray, let me ask you this. Were a lot of people shocked when you retired at 24, though?
I think so. I think some guy said he should probably retire before that. It's like a guy said to me, he said, when did you retire? I said, August of 85. I was 24. He said, I thought you retired 2 fights before that. But, basically, I think so. I think people don't realize that I was so young. But what I do appreciate is that because I was fighting so regularly, a lot of people remember my fights and they think that I fought longer.
Yeah, fought longer.
And you also, obviously, hopefully you saved money and everything.
Yeah, I was fortunate.
good.
I was very fortunate. I come out of a good, and like I said, that's one chapter of my life. And I knew that. I mean, that's not my life. Boxing wasn't my life. It was one chapter of my life. There was other things I wanted to do, and I knew that early on.
So what did you do from 24 to today?
I went in. I got into the entertainment business. I was being represented by William Morris at the time, and they were offering me acting gigs, and I never was able to take advantage. Then I went and auditioned for a movie. Not long after the second Bramble fight, I said, "Man, the camera don't punch back." Well, actually, before the second Bramble fight, the camera don't punch back. The worst thing that happens was take 2. I said, "Man, why not do this earlier?" And that's when I really said, "Okay." And my agent said, "You got to be where it's at." So, of course, as they say, if you're going to go fishing, you got to go to the water. So I moved to L.A. and I've been out there for 28 years, and I'm enjoying it. I'm not where I'm going to be, not where I want to be, but I've been fortunate to work, do film, TV, stage. But I'm mainly now concentrating on producing. And to me, that's the juice. You know, to me, taking something from nothing, taking it through fruition, seeing it up on screen, that's the juice for me.
And the documentary I saw is great. It's called The Good Son, and it's your story. And it's Ultra Video on Demand on July 16th, and it's in theaters August 9th. And it's really great. I mean, he sounds like Bob Gullib. I don't know if he's a comedian.
Bobby's a good friend of mine.
Oh, you know Bob?
Bobby's from Sharon, PA, right over the border. I did Bobby's podcast not long ago.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, Bobby's a good friend for years.
All I thought of watching the documentary is how him and Gullib, it's the same fucking...
Bobby's doing it right now. But that's... Look, I had 70-some fights. What's his excuse?
Exactly. Nothing. Bob is a psychopath, though. Bob Gullib's a fucking psychopath. But it's that part of the country is a very tough, like Sharon, Pennsylvania. Yeah. Youngstown is a very, very fucking tough part of the country.
What makes it so tough, you think?
Well, blue-collar town. We were second.
There's a lot of blue-collar towns, but
second is still producing city. But it's a blue-collar, still mill town. You got it. You get what you give. And we're in the city, Youngstown. We're the only city of our size anywhere in the country. I mean, there might be others. I don't know of any that's controlled by two major mob families. And it has been forever, Pittsburgh and Cleveland. So forever, when you grow up in that atmosphere, which that's part of life, everyday life. And, people are still workers, and when mills were shut down and people got meaner, it's not like they advocate, go to New York, be an actor, go to be a singer, or be a DJ, or a radio host, or anything like that. It was, go get married, go to work in the mills, get married, raise a family. And that was great. Solid people, best people I know. I just knew I wanted something different. And I said, I can't do that, man. I watched my father go to Sweat Factory. I used to get up, he'd get me up in the morning before school, so I'd do road work. He'd give me a kiss, walk out the door, walk to him. We lived 2 houses from the corner. Blizzard, snow, pouring rain. I look at it, I go, oh, God, I can't do that.
Oh, wow, huh?
I got to make it as a fighter. I can't do that. Ed O'Neill from Modern Family, from Youngstown. Eddie's a dear friend from Youngstown, and we talk about it all the time. And Eddie said he became an actor because it's a funny story. He was, Pittsburgh Steelers. He was in their training camp, 1970. He made it to the last cut as a linebacker. And he said, he always said it was the day that, or it was that 69. It was the day that Neil Armstrong, the day he got cut was the day Neil Armstrong walked on the moon. He said, good day for him, not such a good day for me. He said, but he went back to Youngstown. He started working at a bar that he had frequented his whole life. And he looked around and he saw everybody. They were there for guys that were lifers there, 30, 40 years. Said, that's going to become me. I can't do it. Yeah. So he borrowed some money. He said, I'm going to New York and try to be an actor. I mean, that's guy, he's
in the documentary too, Ed O'Neill. He talks a lot, and Mickey Rourke's in the documentary.
Mickey's great, and Ray Leonard. So I can't tell you how much I appreciate these guys doing it. Mickey, I love Mickey, and the fact that he agreed to do it, and Eddie, of course, and Ray did it. I mean, it's special. It's very special.
And your dad was a fighter too. Like so much I didn't know about you. And
my father's a much better fighter than I was. My father was a great fighter in the 30s and 40s. He was a great fighter at the time for a lot of great fighters, and because of World War II, didn't get opportunities to fight for the world title. He signed to fight for the world title. A month before he signed to fight for it, he was drafted into World War II. Wow. And he said, look, I want to defend my country. I just want the opportunity to fight for the title. And he said, in fact, I'll give my entire purse to the Army Relief Fund, which at that time was crying for money. They said, no, man, we don't want your money. We want you. And consequently, he never got a chance to fight for the title. Jeez. And all I heard about growing up was how my father should have been, could have been, would have been world champion. Because he already beat Sammy Hain, gotten a non-title fight. And this was what got him the title fight. And, my father never talked bad. He was very proud to defend his country. It was one of the greatest things he said he ever did. He said, but he never talked about regrets. But once in a while he'd sit there and say, Raymond, he said, if I'd only had the chance, man, I would have won that title.
Wow.
And you could see how he never talked bad about it. Just we could see how it bothered him. But since I was a little boy, when I used to hear those stories, people would say, what do you want to be when you grow up? I said, I want to be a fighter world champion for my father. And that's all I ever wanted. And he's the one who never wanted me to fight. He's the one who tried to talk me out of it in the worst way, especially when I was in high school and going to turn pro. I said, Dad, I want to turn pro. He said, Raymond, it was depression. I had to eat. I had to fight. You have so many other opportunities because I had athletic as well as academic scholarship to go to college. Right. I had a professional baseball offer. I had other opportunities. He said, I had to fight. I said, Dad, I want to win the title. I want to win it for you. And I'm just fortunate and blessed to live out my dream, And people say, I used to have reporters used to say, "Well, Boom Boom, if you didn't make it as a fighter, what would you have done?" I said, "I can't answer that because that's all I ever wanted. I can't answer it. There's nothing else I ever wanted." So, I said, "Look, I moved to New York, I wouldn't have went back home. I would have been the best bust out waiter there was in New York, but I wasn't going home unless I was successful, and I meant that.
Well, you had a brother, your brother Lenny, and he was also a very good fighter.
Yeah, much better fighter than me. He's a much better fighter. Guys, people in the, I said in the documentary, in the gym will tell you, guys who saw him fight, better fighter, hit harder, better boxer, slicker. But my brother, he loved the streets. And, my brother was a street guy and, better fighter than I was. But as I said in the documentary, the one thing he lacked that I had was discipline. My brother was a handsome son of a gun, and the women loved him, and he loved to party, and but when he trained hard, but it was in between. People don't understand. It's in between fights, in between tournaments, that you got to live a righteous lifestyle. And then he was partying too much, and he worked in the steel mills. When the steel mill shut down, he was looking for things, and he got caught up with the wise guys, and he was collecting, and that's that foolishness, and I'd say, Lenny, man, come on, come with me. You'll be with me. He said, man, and there was times he was, tapped out, didn't have money. He was a divorced father, paying child support, and his ex-wife wouldn't let him see the child. I said, Lenny, I'll give you money. He said, Raymond, you're my younger brother. I'm supposed to take care of you. Man, don't worry about it. You're my brother, and you try to talk to him, you see where he's going, you see where it's headed, and nothing ever good comes out of that. And growing up knowing those guys and growing up, he just said, man, that's, I wanted something different. And if he would have just held on for a little longer, he would have been with me. Because when I hit, right after that, things started happening for me.
Right.
God gives, God takes. God took Lenny, but he gave me the opportunity after that. And, if you'd have held on, man, he would have been with me in my training camp, and he would have we'd had a great time together.
And your brother passed away. You because of the lifestyle.
Yeah.
And in the documentary you address it, and it was very interesting because there was some facts around that were a little bit dicey.
Yeah, there was, and the detectives they said, look, Raymond, we can get into we can go into this, and do you really want us to? I said, no. Don't bring him back. And I don't want to put my parents through that. I don't want to put them through it. Don't bring him back. Who cares? He's gone. And that's the bottom line. I knew the general facts. I didn't need to know the particulars. And and you got to move on from that. And that's the thing. And I'll tell you, after we buried him, the day after we buried him, I came back to New York. And that was the hardest day of my life, man. Leaving my parents. My father broke down in my arms. My father never cried. That's what I never saw my father cry as a kid. My father said last time he cried when he was 10 years old. He said when his father left, to go to left him and my grandmother split. He said, "You stay here and take care of your mother. I got to go." And he wanted to go with his father. And he said, "Raymond, I cried so much that day I could never cry again." And I never saw him. And I think a lot of boys don't see the father cry.
Sure, yeah.
But that day he broke down in my arms like a child. He was just wailing. And I said, "Man, I ain't got to go. Dad, I go. No, you got to get on with your life. You got to get on. You got to leave. You got to leave." And I think that moment, that's, to me, those are the moments you remember how I got to the title. Those are moments like that you have to overcome to get in that car to go to, to Pittsburgh to get on the plane. Man, that was the hardest thing in my life.
How did you keep the discipline with that? I'm sure you were offered, that type of lifestyle yourself.
Sure.
And it seemed at the time, especially as young as you were, it probably seemed like an easy way to make a few bucks. What's the difference there?
You see it early on. And you see guys, neighborhood fathers who wasn't. I'd be sitting there when I was fighting. They were all proud of me. They're very proud of me.
Sure.
When we'd go out after a fight, if I'd be back in town, I'd be sitting here. The DJ from the radio station would be here. The city official would be there. The guy who was a major guy would be sitting here, all having a drink. Because in Youngstown, how we looked at it is everyone's carrying the lunch belt to the job. Just different jobs.
Right.
It's a lifestyle, man. It's a grind. Everyone has to make a living. That's just how they made their living. So one thing that had nothing to do with the other. Your life and my life, we didn't conflict with each other.
Right.
Good neighbor, my neighbor.
Was the fact that people were proud of you and you knew that, did that want to keep you from getting into a bad lifestyle?
But again, I said I was disciplined. I never intrigued me. That lifestyle never intrigued me. I knew that, I was intrigued reading about, Al Capone and Lucky Luciano and all that.
Sure,
because they were like modern day cowboys. And being of Sicilian heritage,
right.
But, and I knew my grandfather when he came from Sicily, that's the life he got into because he had to make a living, But that's not the lifestyle I wanted. I wanted other things. Like I said, they were proud of me. They come to all my fights. All the glitterati would sit at ringside. All the, everybody who wanted to flash. And that was great. But they supported me. And, So it was good. Youngstown was a great city, man. It still is.
Sounds wild.
And
Jesus.
Well, in the 70s and 80s, it was like the Wild West.
Yeah.
A lot of conflict between the two families.
Yeah.
But Youngstown's a great city. I wouldn't want to grow up any other place, man. It was a great place to grow up.
Is it still corrupt?
Maybe
you don't want to answer that. Actually,
no. Obviously, the people are still there, but there's nothing to fight over now.
Yeah.
The steel mill shut down. There's nothing. I mean, I go back home and I say, well, I ask friends who is and who isn't. Is it Raymond? There's nothing here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, if the guys are still around. Most of them died, moved, but they're still around. But there's nothing to fight over. There's nothing going on. So so I mean, it's not as prevalent as it once was, but of course, it's still the presence is still there.
Right, gotcha.
And you focused a good piece of the documentary because I mean, after all these years, I know you're so not sick of it, but you've covered Duk-Koo Kim and you've discussed it enough. But I was impressed that you dedicate a piece of the documentary because a guy who he died in the ring. But that just becomes a footnote or an anecdote that people tell. But it's like you really show him as a person, and you get into his family and his trainers, and you make him a real and relatable person, which was, I thought, really great that you did that.
I thought, well, first of all, when Mark Kriegel did the book, he said, look, man, this is a book about your life. That's one part of your life. You're going to have to go there. He said, I'm going to have to go every dark place you don't want to go, the death of your brother, the death of Kim, your divorce. He said, I'm going to have to go. But he said, you got no say-so what I write, but you got to trust me. If you want the best story about fathers and sons, I'm your guy. And I know what type of writer he was, and I trust him. And he's an artist, man. I love Mark. We're connected. We're connected to hip forever, though I want to choke him sometimes.
But did he write down any things that you got annoyed at?
Pardon me?
Did he go into...
When we were on the book, he's a pain in the ass, man. But I love him to death, you know what I mean? But he's a pain in the ass. And so... But I wouldn't want anybody. I couldn't ask for a better writer. I wouldn't want nobody else to write it. He was the guy, But so when you, but he'd say, that's one fact. I'm going to talk about your life. Your grandfather come from Sicily, and he said, look, it's about fathers and sons. You and your father with his father when he came from Sicily. You and your children, and ultimately me and my father. He said, my father I want to become a writer because my father was an English major.
Mm-hmm.
But so he uses it. Other than me and my father, I think the city of Youngstown is as big or as important a character in the book as anybody. And that's what I think Jesse James Miller, the director of the film, who is also a wonderful artist, did with the film. He made the town relevant. He made it as much as a character as anybody else. And again, with the documentary, people talk about the Kim incident, Kim meeting the fiance and the son of Kim, but it's a 90-minute doc. And I don't meet him until 60 minutes into it. So It's an hour about me growing up in Youngstown, my family, why I want to be a fighter for my father. Then we get into that. So I think it was so well done, tastefully done, and edited by Jesse and his crew that you're right. That is an important part, and I think the way they handled it. And the day they told me that G1 wanted to meet me, I mean,
that was his son, Kim's son.
Yeah, absolutely. G1 and the fiance, young me, G1 wanted to meet me, and Mark Kriegel said, "Yeah, you have a problem with this?" No, I think it was important. I wanted to meet him. I wanted him to have some closure, and for me, it would put some closure to me because I always wondered about the boy and the fiance. And that day that we met, and so we're setting it up to camera. And they're telling me, I was sitting on the stoop of my home, and they're telling me he's on his way. I told Mark, I said, Mark, you better set up do one, because you got one shot. I can't do this again.
Right.
I can't go through this. Make me cut, take two. No, you got one shot. You better get what you get. And it did. And
it was really well done. And do you feel like, because it's all reporters talk about, and do you feel like it unfairly defined your career?
I would say unfairly. I understood it, but like I said, I like to think I'm known for much more than that. I understand. They say always best known. Well, I'm best known for winning the world title, defending it 4 times. Fighting to win the title for my father, fighting for the honor of my city of Youngstown. I like to think there's a lot more things. I like to think I had a pretty good career.
Absolutely.
But I understand. Don't get me wrong. I understand, but that's fights. Going to stand out.
It's just such an odd thing too, because I mean, obviously there are tragedies in every sport. You can look at auto racing and whatnot. It just seems boxing is so much more personal. It's on a personal level that people are, I guess, more fascinated by it in some like macabre way?
I think because it goes back to the old gladiator days.
Exactly.
But you have to understand, and then part of it's because at that time I was like, I was as Irving Wood said, I was the all-American boy with a touch of mozzarella. This was prime. Irving Wood, but this was prime time, Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
I was a big, a ratings guy for, CBS. I was on network television, so I had a great fan base.
Mm-hmm.
Boom. But here's the people who saying nobody knew until after fight, and
right.
The thing is, the unfortunate part is, other than the ending of the fight, it was a great fight.
Yeah,
it was a great. It would be one of the fights you would see on ESPN Classic all the time, but because of that, there's nothing good about it.
Right.
And so, so I understand now. Like I said, at the time I had a hard time. I understand now.
I wouldn't doubt at the time. How did you remedy that with yourself?
Well, I rely on my faith. I have a strong conviction in my relationship with God. Being grown up in a Catholic household, parochial school, 12 years, you learn that to have that relationship, and that's the only thing that got me through, and it's the only thing that carries me through my life today.
Sure.
Through any hard time, and I say my prayers every morning, every night, and I leave it in God's hands. I'm not trying to get the philosophical thing, but that's just
that's
just, my faith carries me through.
Exactly.
Do you want to ask something?
I want to just let the people know that he helps ex-fighters, too. I think that should be said.
Yeah.
You got an organization.
Yeah, I'm part of the boxers, the Retired Boxers Association, and it's great. And my friend Alex Ramos from the Bronx here started it years ago, and we try to help fighters. And I'm part of also Ring 8 and Ring 10, which are here in New York, based in New York. And these are guys that do, businessmen that put the money into a pot and help fighters. I'm very proud to be part of.
A lot of fighters have horrible lives
and
after
these guys go out and, during holidays, they have money to make sure to take care of these guys. If they have doctor bills, that take care of these guys. So Ring 8 and Ring 10 is a wonderful, wonderful organizations. They are wonderful organizations, and if anybody here knows of it or wants to be part of it, it should be part of it, because they have monthly meetings, and great ex-fighters and people part of the business come and talk on a monthly basis. And I'll be there September 10th for Ring 10, and I'm so looking forward to it. It's been a while since I've been back, but it's just, we don't, we have to look out for our own, because we don't have any unions. We don't have there's no union in boxing, so we have to look out for each other. And basically, whatever you made in fighting, you gotta have to parlay that into something else, and that sustains you for a lifetime.
You said something very interesting too in the fight. You're talking about the Kim fight. You said, I in that moment know him better than his fiance or his kids or anybody who knows him. And what is that relationship when you're fighting a guy? You guys are sharing some weird thing that no one else around them can understand.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because people say, what is it when you're in there with another guy? I said, I may have never met this guy before, never see him again. But for those moments, I know him better than anybody, because you know what's that deep in his soul. Because it's I don't know, animalistic nature of the business. I know we both know what we're trying to accomplish. I have something, he wants it, I'm trying to keep him from getting it. That whole thing, and how you go about it. So that's why you always see fighters hug after a fight. May be at war, but you hug afterwards, because you have such a mutual respect and admiration for each other and what we try to accomplish. And then you go your separate ways. But
how much can you tell before the fight, right before the fight, by looking at a man's face? How much can you tell about his fear, his ambition to beat you?
Well, some guys you could, and other guys you look and you know it's going to be a headache. And it's just, the fight with Kim, his dressing room was right next to mine, and sometimes they're not, but sometimes they are. And before that, you could hear him. And when I'm in there, I like a little piece of quiet. Yeah. We're sitting there, and I'm kind of meditating, and I'll say, bang, bang. He's punching the walls, punching lockers. And,
oh, no.
And all of a sudden, when my team looks, and we start to get real wide-eyed, I go, oh, man, we're in for a tough one today, aren't we? And that's just, but I knew what I was up against,
Yeah.
I had the mindset, I prepared for war. My style was not coming forward. Like I said, it was going to be a war, but I prepared for war. You got to go, I used to say things like, you're going to have to kill me to beat me for this title. You feel that way as a fighter, I'm willing to die for my title. You mean that, but subconsciously, obviously, you don't want that.
Right.
I'll fight to the end if I have to, and I would.
Yeah.
But you say things like that, and then you realize after something like that happens, man, you really got to watch what you say, man. Sometimes people can will what they say.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, here's what people don't understand, what you'll find out in the documentary too, is that before the fight, he had and his trainer talks about it, and his sparring partner talks about it. He had a coffin next to his bed. And they said, what's that? He said, either I'm coming home in that or Mancini's going home in that.
Holy shit.
And you go, and my daughter said to me, she said, Poppy, did you know that? I said, no, man, a good thing I didn't.
Wow.
Because that would have changed. If I'd have known that, I don't know if I would have gotten a ring. You know what I mean? So if you'd have thought like that. But I know that their mindset, you know, he had that warrior mentality. I know what it is to have that mentality, but I never thought like that, you know.
Right, that's the...
You just want to win, I'll do whatever it takes to win, you know, that type of thing.
Yeah.
And it's scary as after you think about it now. And then he wrote on the lampshade, "Kill or be killed," the day before the fight.
Wow.
It's it's very eerie after the fact.
It is, yeah.
They are telling us that Ray has to leave.
Oh, man.
Why?
You got another interview.
Why, man?
You probably have other interviews.
I thought I was auditioning for a show here, man. I would
talk to you till 10 o'clock. This is fucking great. I don't want you to leave at all.
Yeah.
The documentary is The Good Son. It's excellent. I've seen it. It's obviously Ray's story, and it's Ultra Video on Demand, July 16th, or you can see it in the theater if you want, August the 9th.
Yeah.
And if you want to learn more about it, go to snagfilms.com/The Good Son. It's what you're hearing right here. It's very honest and open, and it's just, you're just a nice man.
I appreciate that.
That's how you know Ray is a punching machine, because he's a nice man who
and he
likes
got
to
out
fight.
of it still with his handsome face. Look at him.
Look at you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ray.
Thanks for coming
for having me.
This was great.